This is your everyday English class.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to English Cactus. My name is Anna.
And my name is Brian. We're so happy you're here with us. This podcast will help you practice your English in a fun, relaxed, and natural way while improving your listening skills.
Have you ever studied English for months or even years, learned lots of grammar rules, memorized hundreds of words, and then, when it's finally time to speak, you feel like a robot?
If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. Many English learners believe they need difficult words and perfect grammar to sound fluent. But here's something surprising. Native speakers usually do the opposite. They use simple words, short expressions, and relaxed conversations.
In today's episode, we're going to show you how real people actually speak English every day. You'll hear a natural conversation filled with useful expressions that you can immediately start using in your own life. If you've ever wondered why your English sounds different from the English you hear in movies, TV shows, or YouTube videos, this episode is for you.
And don't worry if you don't understand everything the first time you listen. That's completely normal. Just relax, enjoy the conversation, and focus on understanding the main ideas. After the dialogue, we'll explain the most useful expressions, the key vocabulary, and some interesting cultural tips. Then, when you listen again, you'll understand so much more.
So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and enjoy the conversation. Learning English doesn't have to be stressful. The more you listen to natural English, the more confident you'll become.
Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue creating free English lessons every week for learners all around the world. And while you're watching, leave a comment below telling us where you're from. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, are you ready?
Let's begin.
Hey, Emma. Long time no see. How have you been?
Ryan, wow, it's so good to see you. I've been doing pretty well. How about you?
I can't complain. Work has been busy, but everything is going fine. It's nice to slow down for a coffee once in a while.
I know what you mean. Life gets busy so fast. Sometimes we forget to take a break.
Exactly. So, what have you been up to lately?
Nothing too exciting, honestly. I've been working, going to the gym a few times a week, and trying to study English every day.
That's great. Keep going. A little practice every day makes a big difference.
I hope so. Sometimes I feel like I know a lot of words, but when I speak, I sound, I don't know, kind of robotic.
You're definitely not the only one. A lot of English learners feel that way.
Really?
Absolutely. Many people learn grammar first, then vocabulary, but they don't learn how people actually talk in everyday life.
That's exactly my problem.
Let me ask you something. If someone says, "How are you?" what do you usually answer?
I am fine, thank you. And you?
That's not wrong.
But
But that's not what most native speakers say every single time.
really?
Not really. Sometimes they just say, "I'm good, pretty good, not bad, doing well, can't complain."
Oh, I've heard can't complain before.
That's a good one. It doesn't mean your life is perfect. It simply means things are okay.
So if someone asks, how's everything? I can answer, can't complain?
Exactly.
That already sounds much more natural.
See? Sometimes it's not about learning difficult words. It's about learning the words people really use.
I think that's what I've been missing. I always try to build perfect sentences.
That's another common mistake. People don't always speak in perfect sentences. Sometimes they stop. Sometimes they change their minds. Sometimes they forget a word.
That's true even in my own language.
Exactly. Real conversations are not perfect. They're natural.
Can you give me another example?
Sure. Imagine I ask, "Did you like the movie?" A textbook answer might be, "Yes, I enjoyed the movie very much." That's perfectly correct, but in real life, people often say, "Yeah, it was pretty good. It was okay. I liked it. It wasn't bad. It could have been better."
It wasn't bad. I like that one.
Me too. It's very common.
Wait, does it wasn't bad mean it was good?
Good question. Not exactly. It usually means it was okay, maybe good enough, maybe better than expected.
English is funny sometimes.
Every language is. That's why learning real conversations is so important.
Sometimes I also worry about speaking too slowly.
Why?
Because I stop to think about every word.
That's normal. Don't worry too much about speed. Focus on communicating. People are usually patient.
I always thought I needed to speak fast to sound fluent.
Not at all. Speaking naturally is much more important than speaking quickly.
That makes me feel better.
Good. Here's another tip. Instead of translating every sentence from your language into English, learn complete expressions.
Like what?
Expressions like, no worries. Sounds good. That works. I'm not sure. Let me think. I guess so. That makes sense.
I hear those all the time in TV shows.
Exactly. That's because people really use them.
I usually understand them when I listen, but I never remember to use them.
That's completely normal. The first step is recognizing them. The second step is practicing them. The third step is using them in real conversations.
I guess practice really is the key.
It definitely is. You don't need 100 new words today. You need 10 useful expressions that you'll actually use.
That sounds much easier.
It is. Think about children. They don't learn by memorizing grammar rules. They hear the same expressions again and again. Then they start using them naturally.
So repetition is important?
Very important. Don't be afraid to repeat the same expressions many times. That's how they become part of your everyday English.
I think I've spent too much time trying to sound perfect.
Most learners do. But here's a secret. Native speakers don't try to sound perfect. They just communicate. Sometimes they make mistakes too.
Really?
Of course. Everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is to keep the conversation going.
Keep going. I like hearing that.
And keep studying English every day. Even 15 minutes can help.
You're motivating me now.
Good. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Little by little, you'll notice that you're speaking more naturally without even thinking about it.
I hope so, because my dream is to have real conversations without feeling nervous every time.
And you will. You're already improving.
You know what else makes me nervous?
What's that?
Small talk.
Really?
Yeah, I never know what to say after hi.
That's actually one of the easiest things to practice.
It doesn't feel easy.
That's because you're probably trying to say something interesting.
Exactly. I feel like I need to say something smart.
That's actually comforting.
That should be.
Simple English is powerful English. If people understand you, you're doing great. And remember, every conversation is another chance to learn something new.
I like that. Learn something new every day.
Exactly. That's how confidence grows.
That was such a fun conversation. I think Emma represents so many English learners. If you've ever felt nervous speaking English, you're definitely going to relate to her.
I agree. And remember, don't worry if you didn't understand every sentence the first time. That's completely normal. The goal now is to slow down, look at the most useful expressions, and understand why native speakers use them. After that, if you listen to the dialogue again, you'll notice it's much easier to follow.
Exactly. We always say that learning English isn't about memorizing hundreds of difficult words. It's about understanding how people really communicate every day. So let's go through some of the best sentences from today's conversation. Emma started by saying, "I sound kind of robotic." I love this sentence because it's something we hear from students all the time. Brian, what do you think she meant?
She wasn't saying that her pronunciation is terrible or that people can't understand her. She was saying that her English sounds too planned, too perfect, almost like she's reading from a grammar book instead of having a real conversation.
Exactly. And that's a feeling many learners have. They study grammar for years, they know a lot of vocabulary, but when it's time to speak, every sentence feels heavy. They stop, translate in their heads, think about the grammar, and only then they speak.
That's why we always recommend learning complete expressions instead of only individual words. Think about expressions like, not bad, sounds good, no worries, or I guess so. They're short, they're natural, and native speakers use them every single day.
Here's a simple example. Imagine someone asks you, "How are you?" A lot of students immediately answer, "I am fine, thank you. And you?" That's perfectly correct. There's nothing wrong with it.
But in everyday English, you'll probably hear something much simpler, like, I'm good, pretty good, doing well, or can't complain. Notice how relaxed these answers sound. Nobody is trying to impress anyone. They're just having a conversation.
That's an important lesson. Speaking naturally doesn't mean using difficult words. In fact, it's often the opposite. The simpler your English is, the more natural it usually sounds.
Then Ryan answered Emma by saying, "You're definitely not the only one." I think this is such a warm and friendly expression.
Me too. Ryan isn't only giving information, he's encouraging Emma. He's letting her know that she's not alone, and that's something native speakers do all the time.
Exactly. Imagine your friend says, "I'm nervous about my English interview." Instead of immediately giving advice, you could first say, "You're not the only one." That makes the other person feel understood.
You could also say, "A lot of people feel that way. That's completely normal," or "We've all been there." These expressions create a connection between people. Communication isn't about grammar. It's also about empathy.
That's something many learners don't notice. When native speakers have conversations, they're constantly making the other person feel comfortable. They're not only exchanging information, they're building relationships.
And that's why learning these little expressions is so valuable. They make your English sound warmer, friendlier, and much more natural. A little later, Ryan says one of my favorite sentences from the whole dialogue. He says, "People don't always speak in perfect sentences."
I wish every English learner could remember this sentence, seriously. So many students believe they have to create the perfect sentence before opening their mouths.
But that's not how real conversations work, right?
Not at all. Think about your own language. Do you always speak perfectly?
Of course not. Sometimes I stop in the middle of a sentence. Sometimes I change my mind. Sometimes I forget a word and choose another one instead.
Exactly. Native English speakers do the same thing. They say things like, "Well, actually, let me think," or "What was I saying?" That's normal conversation.
So if you're speaking English and you need a second to think, don't panic. Don't think you're failing. That's something everyone does.
One mistake we see all the time is students trying to speak too fast because they think fast equals fluent.
And that's simply not true.
Ryan then says speaking naturally is much more important than speaking quickly. I couldn't agree more.
Me neither. Imagine two students. One speaks incredibly fast, but nobody understands him because he's nervous and his pronunciation isn't clear.
And another student speaks a little more slowly but clearly, confidently, and with good pronunciation.
Which one communicates better?
Definitely the second one.
Exactly. Fluency isn't about speed. Fluency is about communicating your ideas comfortably.
So don't rush. Take your time. If you need a short pause, that's perfectly okay. Native speakers pause too.
And remember something very important. Every conversation is practice. Every mistake teaches you something. Every day you study English, you're getting one step closer to speaking naturally.
That's why we always tell you, keep going. Study English every day. Learn something new every day. You're doing great.
The next sentence I want to talk about is when Ryan says, "Learn complete expressions." Brian, I think this might be one of the best pieces of advice for anyone learning English.
I couldn't agree more. Many students spend hours memorizing single words. They learn words like take, get, make, put, and go. But when it's time to speak, they still don't know what to say.
That's because words by themselves don't always help us communicate. Native speakers don't usually think one word at a time. They remember groups of words that naturally go together.
Exactly. Instead of learning only the word think, learn expressions like, "Let me think," "I think so," "I don't think so," and "come to think of it." Now you're learning English the way people actually speak.
The same thing happens with the word good. Instead of only remembering good, you can learn sounds good, pretty good, good for you, and I'm good. Suddenly, one simple word becomes useful in many different situations.
That's one of the biggest differences between students who understand English and students who can actually speak it. They collect expressions, not just vocabulary lists.
So here's a challenge for everyone listening. The next time you watch a movie, a YouTube video, or one of our podcasts, don't write down 20 new words. Instead, write down 5 complete expressions. You'll be surprised how much easier they are to remember.
And even more importantly, you'll start using them automatically. That's exactly how natural speaking develops.
Now that we've talked about the main ideas from the dialogue, let's focus on some vocabulary. We didn't choose difficult words. Instead, we picked words and expressions that native speakers use all the time. If you start using these naturally, your English will immediately sound more relaxed and more conversational.
That's right. Sometimes students think they need advanced vocabulary to sound fluent, but the truth is almost the opposite. The people who sound the most natural usually use simple words very well. So let's look at 7 expressions that are worth adding to your everyday English.
Word 1. Robotic. Our first word is robotic. This was one of the most important words in today's conversation because Emma said, "I sound kind of robotic." Now, she wasn't talking about real robots. She was describing the way she feels when she speaks English. She feels that her sentences sound too mechanical, too planned, and not very natural.
Exactly. And many learners feel the same way. When you're thinking about grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, and verb tenses all at the same time, your speech can become slow and mechanical. But here's the good news. That feeling doesn't last forever. The more you listen to natural English and the more you practice speaking, the more relaxed your English becomes.
Let's see a few examples. I don't want to sound robotic during my interview. Her English sounds much more natural now. Notice the opposite word there. Instead of robotic, we have natural. That's the word you want people to use when they describe your English.
And remember, nobody becomes natural overnight. It's something you build little by little through listening, repeating, and speaking.
Word 2. Natural. Since we just mentioned it, let's talk about the word natural. This word appears many times because it's really the heart of today's episode. When someone says your English sounds natural, they're saying that it sounds comfortable, relaxed, and similar to the way native speakers communicate.
Something interesting is that natural English isn't necessarily perfect English. You can make a small grammar mistake and still sound natural. On the other hand, you can make a perfect sentence that sounds too formal for the situation. That's why learning expressions is so important.
Here are a few examples. Your pronunciation sounds very natural. Try to speak naturally. That conversation felt very natural. Those are all compliments. Everyone learning English wants to hear that.
Word 3. Expression.
Our third word is expression. You've probably noticed that we use this word a lot on this podcast. An expression is a group of words that people often use together. Instead of learning one word at a time, you learn the whole expression.
That's exactly how native speakers communicate. For example, instead of memorizing only the word good, you can learn expressions like sounds good, pretty good, good for you, I'm good. Now you have 4 useful pieces of English that you can start using immediately.
Another great example is the verb think. Instead of only learning think, learn let me think. I think so. I don't think so. Think about it. Those expressions will stay in your memory much more easily than isolated words.
Word 4. Practice. The next word is one every English learner should love, practice. Without practice, vocabulary disappears, grammar becomes difficult, confidence goes down. Practice is what turns knowledge into real communication.
And practice doesn't only mean studying from a book. You can practice by listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading simple books, talking to yourself, recording your voice, repeating dialogues. Even thinking in English while you're walking can be excellent practice.
Here's something we always recommend. Instead of studying for 3 hours on Saturday, try studying 20 minutes every day. Consistency is much more powerful than intensity. Little practice every day creates big results over time.
That's why we always say, keep practicing. It's simple advice, but it really works. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Let's take a quick look at what we learned together.
Today, we discovered that sounding natural in English
isn't about using difficult words or speaking as fast as possible. It's about communicating with confidence, using simple expressions, and speaking the way people really do in everyday life.
We listened to a real conversation, explored useful expressions like can't complain, sounds good, I guess so, and that makes sense, learned important vocabulary, talked about cultural differences, and practiced sentence patterns that you can start using today.
The most important thing to remember is this: don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every conversation is an opportunity to improve. Every new expression you learn brings you one step closer to speaking naturally.
So here's our challenge for you. This week, try using at least 3 expressions from today's episode. It could be while talking to a friend, practicing by yourself, or even thinking in English during your day. Small actions, repeated every day, create amazing results.
And now we'd love to hear from you. Which expression from today's lesson was your favorite? Have you ever felt like your English sounded robotic? What expression are you going to start using this week? Tell us in the comments. We read as many comments as we can, and we love hearing about your progress.
And if this episode helped you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who's also learning English. Learning together is more fun, and you can practice these expressions with each other.
And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, you help us continue creating free English lessons like this one, and you'll never miss a new episode of English Cactus.
Remember, fluency doesn't happen overnight. It happens one conversation at a time, one podcast at a time, and one day of practice at a time.
We hope to see you again in the next episode.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.